Imagine showing up to a gunfight and everyone else brought a knife. That's what Shane Van Gisbergen has been doing to the NASCAR Cup Series field, except the twist is the Americans thought they had the guns. They had the ovals. They had the home track advantage. They had 100 years of stock car DNA in their blood. And then this quiet bloke from Auckland walked into their house, wiped his boots on the welcome mat, and started rearranging the furniture. So the question everyone's screaming about right now is simple. Is it the car, or is Shane playing a game the Americans literally don't understand how to play? Because here's the thing, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact moment at Nashville Superspeedway when the entire Cup field realized they weren't just losing to a road course ringer anymore, they were losing to something far more dangerous. Welcome to NASCAR Nation Decoded, strap in. Now, if you've been watching the mainstream American NASCAR media, the big networks, the legacy podcasts, the talking heads, you've heard the same recycled line for 2 seasons straight. Oh, SVG is just a road course specialist. He'll never figure out the ovals. He's a one-trick pony. That was the narrative. That was the cope. That was what every analyst in a polo shirt was shouting from the rooftops. But for the 97 nation, for every Kiwi and Aussie who has been watching this man hustle a V8 supercar sideways at Bathurst at 280 kilometers an hour, we knew. We've always known because we watched him win 3 supercars championships. We watched him win Bathurst. We watched him drag a fundamentally compromised race car through corners that should have spat him into the wall. So while the American media was busy writing his obituary on ovals, here's what actually happened at Nashville Superspeedway on the 31st of May. Shane Van Gisbergen, the so-called road course specialist, qualified P10 on a 1.3 3-mile concrete oval. Then in stage 1, he led 12 laps, 12, on an oval, against Larson, against Logano, against the entire Cup establishment. He got passed on a restart by Logano and then repassed him. Like it was nothing, he finished P5, a career-best oval result. And here's the kicker the American media glossed over. He did it after clawing back from a lap down, mate, and he still cracked the top 5. But here's where the story takes a dark turn for his rivals. Whoa. Because the moment SVG started running top 5s on ovals, the whispers in the garage changed. Suddenly it wasn't, he's only fast on road courses. Suddenly it became, Trackhouse must have found something. Let's decode that because this is where it gets juicy. Trackhouse Racing runs Chevrolets. The same Chevrolets that Hendrick runs, the same Chevrolets that RCR runs, same engine package, same next-gen chassis, and remember, the next-gen car was specifically designed by NASCAR to be a spec car to eliminate the equipment gap. Every car bolts together from the same supplier parts. The stagger is regulated, the aero is locked. The whole point was equality. So if the equipment is equal, and Denny Hamlin himself recently admitted Trackhouse cars might be equal or maybe even a little better than the competition on certain tracks, then where is SVG's edge actually coming from? It's not in the car, mate. It's in the seat. And this is where the American garage is genuinely starting to panic. Because if the car is the same and SVG is still beating them, then the only variable left is the driver. And nobody in that paddock, nobody has his pedigree. 3-time Supercars champion, Bathurst 1000 winner, a man who learned to race in cars that have no driver aids, that punish mistakes brutally, and that demand a level of mechanical sympathy that NASCAR drivers, frankly, have never had to develop. Pause that thought, because what I'm about to show you next is the technical detail that explains everything. Here it is. The thing the Americans can't replicate even if they wanted to. Right foot braking, heel toe downshifting. Now in modern NASCAR, virtually every driver left foot brakes on road courses. They've done it that way for decades. It's their default. But Shane right foot brakes supercar style, and he heel toes the throttle on downshifts to keep the rear end settled. Now why does that matter? Because right foot braking with heel toe lets him do something the others can't. He can trail brake deeper into the corner while simultaneously balancing the throttle. He's modulating the brake bias dynamically with his foot, not with a dial. He's keeping the chassis loaded, and he's controlling the rotation of the car with throttle blips while the brakes are still bleeding off pressure. Max Verstappen, that Max Verstappen described him as a crazy right foot braker and noted there's a significant lap time advantage in it. SVG himself said rivals overthink the technique. Absolute legend move that. And here's the part the casuals miss. This same skill is what's now translating to ovals. Because on a place like Nashville, where the concrete eats tires and the aerodynamic wake off the leading car destabilizes everything behind it, the driver who can manage the chassis with the most finesse wins. SVG's pedal control isn't just faster, it's gentler. He saves the tires, he manages the stagger, he keeps the car planted in dirty air where others are washing up the track. That P5 at Nashville wasn't luck. That was supercar's craft applied to a stock car. Quick one before we get into the psychological side of this, because this is where it gets really interesting. If you're part of the 97 Nation, if you're watching this from Auckland, from Hamilton, from Sydney, from Perth, from anywhere the Southern Cross flies, and you want the Kiwi voice to be heard in this sport, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a movement here. This channel exists for us, for the fans. The mainstream media forgets. Crack on with me. Let's keep going. Right. Now we get to the part nobody's talking about. The mind game. Watch Shane in interviews. Watch the body language. He doesn't trash talk. He doesn't beat his chest. He doesn't do the Daytona rivalry, finger-pointing, post-race shoving match that American stock car culture thrives on. He just gets out of the car, gives a polite Kiwi shrug, says, yeah, the boys did a great job, and goes home. And it's driving his rivals mental. Because in NASCAR, the psychological warfare is part of the sport. You intimidate, you bump, you talk, you manufacture beef for the cameras, but you can't intimidate a bloke who genuinely doesn't care what you think. You can't get inside the head of someone who learned his craft in a series where if you crashed at Mount Panorama, you walked back to the pits and copped a bollocking and then went out and won the next round anyway. Tough as nails, that culture. SVG is forcing the entire field to confront an uncomfortable truth. Their tricks don't work on him. Their bump and runs don't rattle him. Their media games don't penetrate. He just keeps showing up, racing clean and beating them. And then wait, look at the telemetry from that Sonoma win earlier this year. He was running a brake bias setup that was reportedly further forward than anyone else in the field. A setup that should, by conventional NASCAR wisdom, push the car into understeer, but because of his right foot modulation, he was rotating the car on entry like it was on rails. The Hendrick engineers reportedly couldn't replicate it on their sim. They tried. It didn't work because the setup only works if you have his feet. That's not equipment, that's not luck, that's a man rewriting the rule book in real time. So let's bring it home, mate. Nashville wasn't just a top 5. Nashville was the proof of concept. It was the night the Cup Garage stopped laughing and started worrying. Because if SVG can run P5 on an oval now in only his second full Cup season, what does year 3 look like? What does year 4 look like? What happens when the road course wins start being backed up by oval podiums? You're looking at a genuine championship threat, a Kiwi, winning the Cup. Let that sink in. The American media will keep trying to write this off as a fluke. They'll keep finding new excuses. It was the tires, it was the cautions, it was a weird race, but the 97 Nation knows what we're watching. We're watching a once-in-a-generation talent quietly dismantle the most stubbornly traditional motorsport on Earth, and he's doing it with a polite smile and a right foot full of magic. So here's what I want from you. 2 things. If you stand with SVG, if you believe this man is the real deal, drop your country's flag in the comments right now. Let me see where the 97 Nation is watching from tonight, and smash that subscribe button so we can keep decoding this takeover together, race by race, week by week, because the Kiwis are coming. And the Americans, they haven't even realized the war's already started. I'm out. See you at the next one.